We have coming up a guy who has a unique quinella. He covered University of Colorado and the Denver Nuggets last year, uniquely in a position to talk about our next subject, and that is local hero, Derek White, drafted by the Spurs in the first round, and that will be our Rockin Company's Rockin CU, this time with Nick Kosmider of the Denver Post. You can follow Nick on Twitter at Nick Kosmider. That's NickKosmider. Brought to you by Rockin Company, making Colorado beautiful natural stone construction for 5 decades. RockinCo.com. And Zadie's Deli, hitting it out of the park. Those great sandwiches stuffed with their homemade corned beef. The other deli treats, pastrami, tongue. I love tongue. Free parking front and back in Cherry Creek at 120 Adams Street, and they cater. And good morning, Nick.
How you doing?
I'm doing swell. Hopefully you're recovered from a long NBA draft season and a long draft night. A lot of us watching. I watched with two eyes. One just fixed by getting a cataract surgery. The other, my traditional eye on the NBA draft, which is totally enjoyable. But the new eye kept watching what a tough night it was for the Denver Nuggets. For those who hoped the team would get appreciably better, I thought it was disappointing. But there was one great story for local folks that came out of it, and that is Derek White taken number 29 by the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the first time that I saw Derek White play was actually when he was playing at the University of Colorado Springs, the Division II school. That was the only NCAA school that offered him coming out of Parker High School. They were playing at Metro State, and I'll never forget this. I was sitting with his trainer. I had been talking to him for a story, and we were sitting together to watch the game. It was the first time I was watching Derek, and he was really good picking his spots, doing the stuff that he does, just being really able to affect the game without forcing anything. But there was a moment in the second half where he made a bad pass to a teammate on the wing, as even great players do, and the Metro State player intercepted the ball, and he had all the momentum going toward the other way on the other basket, and Derek turns and he starts peeling down the court, and his trainer says to me, "He's going to block this, watch." And he comes from behind and jumps from just inside the free throw line and swats away this guy's shot. And this was before the LeBron James block to win the finals in 2016, and it looked just extremely similar. And that was the moment I was like, wow, that you just do not see that play. And it was an NBA play, and then sure enough, here he is 2.5 years later, first-round NBA draft pick. It's pretty amazing.
Those battles with Metro State were some of the best basketball games I have ever seen in Colorado. And he took a program that had never had any success, most people didn't know existed, I would say, and dethroned Metro State. I helped start that basketball program, Metro State, as sports information director, hired with the first coach to come in and try to get a major sport going at Metro State. And that program has dominated basketball in this state most of the last 20 or so years. And what he did for UCCS was amazing. How do you see him in terms of an NBA pro? What kind of a career do you think he can have? Why will he be successful if he will?
Well, I think the reason that he'll be successful is because the things he does now translate, and you hear this all the time and it becomes a cliche, but he truly already plays NBA basketball, just in terms of how smart he is, how intelligent he is, and just the way that he feels his way around the court. And by that I mean his game is not just purely built on athleticism. Although he is athletic, I think sometimes that was the knock on him going into the pre-draft process, and then he kind of blew that narrative out of the water with how well he performed in physical measurements. But he just has a great sense of how to operate a team, how to get guys where they need to be, and how to read defenses, and then how to react. And I think that process he goes through, he'll have to be sped up a little bit. But I think the beauty of a guy like White is that he has the ability to slow everyone else down, and make the game work for him. And so I think that's a skill that's sort of advanced beyond his years, and I think that'll be able to translate really well And obviously playing for an organization like the Spurs, they're going to give him every opportunity to be able to make an impact with their system. And I couldn't be more excited for him.
It does seem like it is a unique benefit, just part of the miracle story here, that he goes to a team that is so unselfish that it does bring out the best in the players that they draft, oftentimes players under the radar, the Manu Ginobilis of the world that people don't see coming. Do you see him as a shooting guard, a point guard, a combo guard? How do you see him at the next level?
Yeah, I kind of see him with the ability to play either guard spot. He's certainly a guy who we know can handle the ball. He spent most of the year last year for Colorado playing the point guard spot kind of out of necessity. And I certainly think he can play that. And, you never know the way that obviously Tony Parker is getting up there in years. He probably has another year or two left with the Spurs. And, you can develop White, continue to let him learn the game. And who knows, by the time that Parker leaves, he could be that guy at point guard. What I would imagine that they'll do next year is they'll probably play him at both spots, much the same way that the Nuggets wanted to get a look at Jamal Murray at both guard positions last year and did. Played most of the first part of the year at shooting guard and played the back half at the point guard spot. So I really think I see probably something similar like that for Derek White. But I don't think there's any doubt he can play point guard, and I wouldn't be surprised if in a couple of years he's doing that for them.
Did the Nuggets make a mistake not drafting Derek White?
Well, I wouldn't say they made a mistake. I think it was a nice story there. The Nuggets do have a really heavy backcourt rotation that they have to figure out right now, and so I don't know that there would necessarily be as much of a kind of an open opportunity. The Spurs know that they're going to potentially be losing a guy like Patty Mills or even Danny Green by a trade. So they might actually need the more immediate help in the backcourt where the Nuggets, I think, drafted where they drafted and traded for their greater area of need, which was the front court. Although now with two guys selected there, I think the Nuggets are a little bit crowded everywhere at this point and really have to do some figuring out with their roster. But I don't think I would say it was a mistake. It would not have been a mistake if they did draft him, just because I think he's a guy that could fit on just about any team. Certainly would have been a nice story. But honestly, for Derek's sake, I think I'm glad that for him that he goes somewhere else. As much as it'd be cool to see him here, I do think that you avoid some of that potential, hometown pressure that could come with that I think Chauncey Billups felt early on in his career. So I think it's the perfect landing spot for him.
Well, very good, Nick. We will read your ongoing and terrific coverage of the Denver Nuggets and their search for salvation in the Denver Post. Thanks so much for being with us.